Hey everyone, John Lorden here. Welcome to the first birthday of Case Cracked. How about that? I want to give a very big thank you to everyone that has watched the show, and a special thank you to people that have contributed topic ideas for the show. I really appreciate all your support out there. Once again, today I wanted to find an international story and maybe one that was a little more well-known, just to celebrate our first birthday. So today we are looking into the story of "The Dingo Took My Baby." Does that quote sound kind of familiar? We're going to talk about why. Growing up in the 80s, I heard a joke that I really didn't understand. Everyone would say a certain quote in an Australian accent: "The dingo ate my baby." Sometimes they'd also say, "The dingo took my baby." A version of it even popped up on the hit television show Seinfeld.
I have lost my fiancé, the poor baby.
Maybe the dingo ate your baby.
I always assumed it was making fun of someone who was lying, but was she? Today we're looking into the case of Azaria Chamberlain. August 17th, 1980, a family camping trip to Ayers Rock in the Northern Territory of Australia would turn tragic. A 2-month baby girl named Azaria would disappear from the tent. Her mother, Lindy, claimed that a dingo, a free-ranging dog native to Australia, took the baby from the tent. This would be the start of decades of grief for parents Lindy and Michael. Their story would grip the public in Australia and around the world. 1 week after the baby was taken from the tent, a man named Wally Goodwin was heading to a gully at the base of Ayers Rock, photographing wildflowers while following along a dense animal path. He noticed shredded clothes near a boulder. On closer inspection, he saw that it was the jumpsuit of a baby. An inquest was held to look into the matter. In a first for Australia, the findings of the inquest were broadcast live on television. It was ruled that a dingo likely did take the baby, but that someone must have recovered the body after and hidden it. The Northern Territory Police did not agree with this finding and continued their investigation. This led to a second inquest in 1981. The findings of this second inquest were much different. Ultraviolet photos were taken of Azaria's jumpsuit, and it was alleged that there was evidence of a cut throat and the imprint of a small hand on the clothing. They also tried to find dingo saliva on the clothing and were not able to. Using this new analysis, Lindy was tried for murder. She stated that the baby was also wearing a jacket, which might explain the lack of dingo saliva, but her reasoning was not enough. She was convicted on October 29, 1982. Now pregnant, Lindy received a life sentence with no parole. Her husband was also convicted as an accessory to the murder and given an 18-month suspended sentence. They tried to appeal all the way to the High Court, but were not successful. Their daughter, Kalia, would be born in custody. She would be sent to live with foster parents only a few months later. In 1986, a terrible accident would uncover more about the mystery of what happened to baby Azaria. English tourist David Brett was climbing Ayers Rock and fell to his death, right in the middle of many dingo lairs. Due to the tough environment, it took several days before his remains could be recovered. Police had to search the surrounding area because dingoes had already carried off some of David's remains. And while they were looking, they found Azaria's missing jacket. Lindy was released, and 2 years later, all convictions against Lindy and Michael were overturned. However, some people still had their doubts. Many people felt that Lindy didn't seem like a grieving mother, that she showed little emotion during her trial. The media was brutal, sensationalizing any tiny piece of information they could find, or even occasionally the far-fetched opinions of the general public. The Chamberlains were awarded $1.3 million in compensation for wrongful imprisonment. Reportedly, that would cover less than 1/3 of their legal expenses. In 1990, Lindy told Michael that she wanted a divorce. The divorce was finalized in 1991. Michael is quoted as saying that it's not the death of Azaria that ended their marriage, but the stress of the legal battles that ensued. Both have since remarried. In 1995, another inquest would be started, but would result in an open finding, meaning that the cause of death was still undetermined. In 2005, a 25-year-old woman stepped forward and claimed that she was baby Azaria. This was found to be untrue. It would take 32 years from when Azaria passed away for yet another inquest to deliver a definitive result. Based on information of numerous dingo attacks on humans that had occurred since, Coroner Elizabeth Morris finally concluded that the parents had been telling the truth the entire time. Azaria had indeed been taken and consumed by dingoes. After the announcement, Lindy stated, "Obviously, we are relieved and delighted to come to the end of this saga. No longer will Australia be able to say dingoes are not dangerous and only attack if provoked." Her ex-husband, Michael Chamberlain, stated, "I am here to tell you that you can get justice even when you think all is lost, but truth must be on your side." The coroner changed Azaria's death certificate with the appropriate cause of death now noted, the result of being attacked and taken by a dingo. More importantly, the public opinion finally seems to have turned on this case. Unfortunately, Michael Chamberlain passed away in January of 2017 at the age of 72 due to complications from acute leukemia. The National Museum of Australia has more than 250 items related to this case, and this story has been the subject of film, television, numerous books, and even an opera, and of course, an early version of a meme that people would repeat for decades, some of us without even knowing the original story. Case cracked. Yeah, I really wanted to cover that one. When I was young, like I said, I had heard that quote so often, and I had some idea that it came from someone not being believed. I think also there is a clip of Meryl Streep played Lindy in one of these projects, and I think people might have been quoting Meryl Streep's performance a little bit.
The dingo's got my baby!
What?
As well. But then, of course, when it hit Seinfeld, that's, at least for me, that's when it really kind of peaked in terms of people being aware of it, at least in the circle that I was, around or with. But I remember seeing some news kicking around when this new determination had finally come out, and I just had this kind of weird feeling that, wow, we've been making fun of this woman for a really long time, and here is a determination that's actually supporting that she was telling the truth. And I guess that some jokes do really start from tragedy. A lot of what humor is helping us cope with certain things. So I understand how it started that way. I think it's just unfortunate that it was so wide, it was such a popular joke, and that it persisted for as long as it did, and then to have this outcome hit 32 years later, it certainly is justice in one way, but it's just really unfortunate that that outcome wasn't known sooner. It might have helped with some of those other cases where dingoes attacked other children, and apparently there's a good number of those cases that have been noted up to this point. So that's it for Case Cracked. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Hope you're having a great day. I'll see you back here tomorrow on the Lord and Arts channel.